Substantial evidence indicates that by June 17, 2017, the president knew his conduct was under investigation by a federal prosecutor who could present any evidence of federal crimes to a grand jury. On May 23, 2017, McGahn explicitly warned the president that his, quote, biggest exposure, unquote, was not his act of firing Comey, but his, quote, other contacts, unquote, and, quote, calls, unquote, and his, quote, ask Re Flynn, unquote. By early June, it was widely reported in the media that federal prosecutors had issued grand jury subpoenas in the Flynn inquiry and that the special counsel had taken over the Flynn investigation. On June 9, 2017, the special counsel's office informed the White House that investigations would be interviewing intelligence agency officials who allegedly had been asked by the president to push back against the Russia investigation. On June 14, 2017, news outlets began reporting that the president was himself being investigated for obstruction of justice. Based on widespread reporting, the president knew that such an investigation could include his request for Comey's loyalty, his request that Comey, quote, let Flynn go, unquote, his outreach to Coates and Rogers, and his termination of Comey and statements to the Russian foreign minister that the termination had relieved, quote, great pressure, unquote, related to Russia. And on June 16, 2017, the day before he directed McGahn to have the special counsel removed, the president publicly acknowledged that his conduct was under investigation by a federal prosecutor, tweeting, quote, I am being investigated for firing the FBI director by the man who told me to fire the FBI director, unquote. C. Intent. Substantial evidence indicates that the president's attempts to remove the special counsel were linked to the special counsel's oversight of investigations that involved the president's conduct, and, most immediately, to reports that the president was being investigated for potential obstruction of justice. Before the president terminated Comey, the president considered it's critically important that he was not under investigation and that the public not erroneously think he was being investigated. As described in Volume 2, Section 2D, Supra, advisors perceived the president, while he was drafting the Comey termination letter, to be concerned more than anything else about getting out that he was not personally under investigation. When the president learned of the appointment of the special counsel on May 17, 2017, he expressed further concern about the investigation, saying, this is the, quote, this is the end of my presidency, unquote. The president also faulted Sessions for recusing, saying you were, quote, you were supposed to protect me, unquote. On June 14, 2017, when the Washington Post reported that special counsel was investigating the president for obstruction of justice, the president was facing what he had wanted to avoid, a criminal investigation into his own conduct that was the subject of widespread media attention. The evidence indicates that news of the obstruction investigation prompted the president to call McGahn and seek to have the special counsel removed. By mid-June, the Department of Justice had already cleared the special counsel's service, and the president's advisors had told him that the claimed conflicts of interest were, quote, silly, unquote, and did not provide a basis to remove the special counsel. On June 13, 2017, the acting attorney general testified before Congress that no good cause for removing the special counsel existed, and the president dictated a press statement to Sanders saying he had no intention of firing the special counsel. But the next day, The media reported that the president was under investigation for obstruction of justice, and the special counsel was interviewing witnesses and events related to possible obstruction, spurring the president to write critical tweets about the special counsel's investigation. The president called McGahn at home that night and then called him on Saturday from Camp David. The evidence accordingly indicates that news that an obstruction investigation had been opened is what led the president to call McGahn to have the special counsel terminated. There also is evidence that the president knew that he should not have made those calls to McGahn. The president made the calls to McGahn after McGahn had specifically told the president that the White House counsel's office and McGahn himself could not be involved in pressing conflicts claims, and that the president should consult with his personal counsel if he wished to raise conflicts. Instead of relying on his personal counsel to submit the conflict claims reported on the president's actions, he denied that he ever ordered McGahn to have the special counsel terminated and made repeated efforts to have McGahn deny the story, as discussed in Volume 2, Section 2.1 Infra. Those denials are contrary to the evidence and suggest the president's awareness that the direction to McGahn could be seen as improper. F. The president's efforts to curtail the special counsel investigation. Overview. 2 days after the president directed McGahn to have the special counsel removed, the president made another attempt to affect the course of the Russia investigation. On June 19, 2017, the president met one-on-one with Corey Lewandowski in the Oval's office and dictated a message to be delivered to the Attorney General Sessions that would have had the effect of limiting the Russia investigation to future election interference only. 1 month later, the president met again with Lewandowski and followed up on the request to have Sessions limit the scope of the Russia investigation. Lewandowski told the president the message would be delivered soon. Hours later, the president publicly criticized Sessions in an unplanned press interview, raising questions about Sessions' job security. 1. The president asked Corey Lewandowski to deliver a message to Sessions to curtail the special counsel investigation. On June 19, 2017, 2 days after the president directed McGahn to have the special counsel removed, the president met one-on-one in the Oval Office with his former campaign manager, Lewandowski. Senior White House advisors described Lewandowski as a devotee of the president, devotee in quotes, of the president, and said the relationship between the president and Lewandowski was, quote, close, close quote. During the June 19th meeting, Lewandowski recalled that after some small talk, the president brought up Sessions and criticized, gotta fly. During the June 19th meeting, Lewandowski recalled that after some small talk, the president brought up Sessions and criticized his recusal from the Russia investigation. The president told Lewandowski that Sessions was weak and that if the president had known about the likelihood of recusal in advance, he would not have appointed Sessions. The president then asked Lewandowski to deliver a message to Sessions and said, "Write this down," in quotes. This was the first time the president had asked Lewandowski to take dictation, and Lewandowski wrote as fast as possible to make sure he captured the content correctly. The president directed that Sessions should give a speech publicly announcing, "I know that I recused myself from certain things having to do with specific areas, but our POTUS is being treated very unfairly." Excuse me. He shouldn't have a special prosecutor counsel because he hasn't done anything wrong. I was on the campaign with him for 9 months. There were no Russians involved with him. I know it for a fact because I was there. He didn't do anything wrong except he ran the greatest campaign in American history. The dictated message went on to state that Sessions would meet with a special counsel to limit his jurisdiction to future election interference. Now a group of people want to subvert the Constitution of the United States. I'm going to meet with a special prosecutor to explain this is very unfair and let the special prosecutor move forward with investigating election meddling for future elections so that nothing can happen in future elections.